User was moved to your channel. 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 User left your channel. User was moved to your channel. User was moved to your channel. User left your channel. User was moved to your channel. User joined your channel. User was moved to your channel. User joined your channel. User joined your channel.
Check. Oh, one moment. Okay.
User joined your channel.
Hey, Bobic, yeah, I can hear you fine.
User was moved to your channel.
Okay.
We'll give everyone a few more seconds to get in.
Okay.
Pay attention.
User was moved to your channel.
All right, Bobic, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, well, I guess we'll get started. It's time.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks again for joining us today. Thanks to the community for sending us all these many questions. I know Sharon has spent quite a bit of time. I think Pia did as well, getting these questions put down on paper for us. So thank you for that. And thanks for coming, Bobic.
Yeah, so thank you guys for organizing all that stuff and also eventually saving my time and well, you can actually help helping with the development time also because saving my time also means that something will go slightly faster than it is.
Yeah, I think I think the entire community is happy and relieved that we can play a part in the development of the game. I think this is the 4th or 5th interview you guys have done with the community, so we appreciate it.
Like that. Yeah. Well, I'm always up for such an idea. It's only a matter of time when I can do or cannot do that. So, and also it's a matter of what exactly are we going to talk about? Because in case of sieges, I just read and saw a lot of controversial and misunderstanding, and sometimes even I don't know superstitious things about sieges, and I just want to answer as many questions as possible in the given time for you guys to be on the same page with me with our given time ideas.
Yeah, that's great. I know a lot of people have a ton of questions. They've been flooding the Discord and the forums and private communications. So
but first of all, I'd like to make a small introduction.
Yes, please do.
It's rather maybe it's a bit of philosophy. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's hard for me to find the proper word for it. So I'd like to talk about instance over an instance and optimization and performance. It's quite straight to everyone, I believe, that real open world, where everything happening in the same world, on the same map, is way better than something instant. There's no doubts about it. I don't think anyone will be against it. But on the other hand, there is an aspect of performance. An aspect of performance cannot be effectively solved. I mean, when we make a lot of optimizations and our servers will work for 300 players, when 320 players will arrive, we will start feeling lags, and at 350 players, the lags might be unbearable. And the problem is that the more players get onto some server, onto something, into some event, the complexity doesn't grow linear. It actually grows up exponentially.
User
That
disconnected
means
from your channel.
that, like, let's say, 50 players on one server and 60 players on the one server does not mean the same, like 100 players on the same server and 110 players on the same server. 110 players will be way harder to calculate because, well, when everyone sees everyone, we have to send information about 109 players to one of those players, and we have to send it to everyone. So the thing is, what I'm trying to say, there is no way how you can make a game that can handle unlimited amount of players. It's simply not possible. So, and and we are just facing the problem that every developer faces. Either you keep an open world and hope it will not lag, because you will do some kind of game design balance and tricks and maybe some soft limitations of what people will do to prevent them bunching up into one place. Or you do something that's been done many times in many games when you have a hard cap on a server. And in that case, you can guarantee that one server will have a maximum amount of players. It will still perform normally, and no one will be bothered with the lag, with lagging or high ping or whatever. So that's the main reason why we went onto instance battles. Is the thing that we can control, we can optimize, and we can actually effectively keep that hard cap without affecting the main world. And that's the main reason why we're going for sieges and instance battles in an instant.
User was
We just
moved to
want
your
to
channel.
have a normal, lagless experience during the battles, during the sieges. I mean, when someone will raid, I mean, it's still possible. You know, it will still be possible to get like 500 players and go and raid some city, and everyone will lag as hell. And it's still possible, but that raid will not make anyone to suffer significant loss. That's what I'm trying to say. But when we're going to talk about sieges, when due to the lags, someone will take advantage over someone else. I mean, someone will take some other player's castle. Players will be disappointed, and they have a full right for that. And we don't want that. That's why we just play sieges and instant battle. And of course, we'll do our best to keep all aspects of sieges intact in the instant battle. And for instance, third
User was moved to your channel.
party crushing is still possible because neither of sides knows who is actually listed on other side. So, for instance, you are sieging some guild with 20 members, and you say, well, okay, I will bring 40 people and it will be enough to destroy them, but bum surprise, they got 150 people just because they asked for help or some third party just decided to crush your siege, and it still will be possible, and it still will be surprised before the actual start of the siege. And there are many other aspects that I'm trying to save, but again, it's not everything possible. And even other games like, for instance, EVE Online, I mean, they have way less calculations than we do. I mean, they have just position of ships, who is shooting who, and just they don't even have a collisions now. But even they struggle with server performance in some cases, like during GT events or during blob stages or anything. So that's I'm trying to say it cannot be avoidable. 100% open world is really hard or almost impossible to reach, and it will always have some kind of gap, unfortunately. I believe I'm done with that part. If anyone got questions about that part, I'll be glad to answer them. If not, let's proceed with the switch with main questions.
All right. Well, the first question we have, and someone comes up with a question, we'll bring it up. But other than that, which has to do with what you're talking about, obviously, since most of these questions do with the Instant Siege. Mm-hmm. Are you planning on testing the Instant Siege before early access release?
First of all, I'd like to answer about early access release. The answer is I cannot tell anything right now, unfortunately. Yeah, I know it's a good. That's a good answer. But I mean, I want to be straightforward with you guys. There are many aspects, and the good point about early access release that's brought to us by our PR company and all partners is that it might undermine our OBT release. And I can't agree with that. We wanted to launch an early access release in order to make a more advanced test, but they kind of persuaded us that it's not really a good idea. So right now there is no certain plans when and how early access release will happen. Maybe we will go straight towards OBT, or maybe we'll do an A launch as some kind of repetition, like some kind of testing release. There is no final solution for it. But of course, we'll try to get as many functionality as possible before the OBT or before or during some stages of tests. So stages should not be as a surprise or something absolutely new during the OBT.
So you're saying that EA might be delayed. I mean, obviously it's delayed until this wave is done and done testing, but are you saying that there may not be an EA release, or there will definitely be one, you're just not sure when?
I'm saying that I cannot tell anything for sure right now.
Okay.
That's it. I mean, most probably there will be no EA release, and maybe we'll go OBT straight, or there will be some kind of other testing pre-release, just new server to test everything before the actual OBT launch. I mean, we need some kind of new test, new start to find what might come up during the start. Like general repetition we need it. But on the other hand, it might affect our OBT, our main release, OBT release, and we might have to avoid it. So it's still an open question. That's it.
Okay. And as far as the Siege instance battles, are you planning on testing that fully before you go to open beta, or are you going to do that during open beta?
That's a good point. We think that Sieges, in my opinion, Sieges will never be in the final state. I mean, all games, they are constantly changing and tweaking and optimizing Sieges and their rules and their amount of players and so on. And I do think that we will be in the same state. So we just want to release the players like Sieges 0.5 version, something like that. That will have all the basics and some of advanced stuff, but there will be no, like in their final state, from the perspective maybe of optimization, amount of players, and types of siege warfare that can be used. I mean, there will be. Right now, we are not going to release the sieges with siege towers or with siege ladders, but sometime later, maybe in half a year, we'll implement them sooner or later. That's the idea. Yeah, but I do believe that trebuchets and supercharges and undermining should be enough.
That's good. I know a lot of people have been asking a lot of questions about different sorts of siege equipment and counter siege equipment, so I'll be happy to hear what's on the horizon. In a siege situation, can you place more than one siege totem? For example, like if there's 3 guilds, A, B, and C guild, can A and B both place multiple totems at Guild C? If that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. No, you can place only one siege totem at once. Only one siege totem can be active. And keeping and pushing the idea forward, yes, you can still use the tactics that many players used in Shadowbane or Darkfall. You can place protective sieges. I mean, if there's some kind of situation when you don't want your castle to be sieged at a given day, you might ask some ally or friend or any other guild to make a fake siege on you. The thing is, we cannot really avoid it. I mean, there are plenty of ways how two guilds will be not friendly or in a war state in the game, but in fact, people in those guilds will be friendly, and there is no way how we can distinguish such real relationships between the guilds. But only thing we can do and what we will do is make a place of siege totem, not place prices of siege totem quite significant. So such defensive tactic will give you only 1 day for a quite significant price. So I do hope it will not be used too often.
So will you have to be in a state of war with someone or hostile with someone, or okay?
Of course.
So I'll have to create a
but
new war situation.
You do understand that you got a kingdom and you got some vassal and say, okay, you need to protect the main kingdom, go away from our kingdom, declare war on us, place a siege totem. You know, and we can do nothing with that because it can be a normal situation or it can be something that players are just faking. We can never know it. So that's why the only thing we can avoid is by raising the price. Those guilds will have to pay some significant price for just 1 day of being protected from siege.
Okay, and I know like a lot of people brought up, bizarre situations where there might be an island that has no land on it. So where can you place the siege totem, or hilltops or whatever? How far away do you have to place the totem? It has to be on the claim, obviously, on the realm claim.
Not really. No. First of all, everyone must keep in mind that when we are talking about a siege, there will be no real claim. Because the only time when you can siege someone is when they have a monument level 1. So if you have some guild that got a monument level 3, you have to win a series of battles, degrade their monument up to level 1, and then they will have no real claim. And then, or maybe a very small real claim, and then that is when you should siege them. And you will be able to place a siege totem in a radius of tier 2 monument maximum range. So imagine if you have a tier 2 monument and it has the maximum realm range, that's the range where you can place the totem. But you must keep in mind that the totems that you will siege will be actually monument level 1, so you will not see that area, but you can always try. Maybe it's a bit confusing, so the idea is I can give you 1 second, I can try to give you a number. So yeah, maximum radius of tier 2 monument is 60 tiles. So in the range of 60 tiles from monument, you can place a siege totem. And answering your question, since that area will be no one's land, or during raids you can always perform it if it's not in a private claim. I do agree that in some cases it will be harder to siege some castles, but you still can always terraform that land because it's not anyone. And you can create a terraform part for a totem, place a totem, and after that it will capture its own claim around it, and that means that no one will prevent you from keeping the terraforming and building your siege camp. But I do agree that some installments of castles will be harder to siege than some other installments as
Sure.
well. That's supposed to be so. If you have a castle that's just a simple island in the lake and there is no way towards it, so that means that they have no effective realm ground, but it's just protected. Better protected from a siege.
Can you put these siege totems onto the town claim as well?
No,
The
not
inner claim?
on the
Only on the realm claim.
Yeah, because it it's a good point. You cannot put it too close to the town claim. So the thing is that the claim that will be taken by a siege totem cannot overlap with the city claim. So there should be no such situation when you will overlap with a siege totem and will be able to destroy the walls just because they are now on your siege totem claim. There should be no such situation.
What about a situation where, as obviously pie in the sky,
your
but
channel.
a situation where it's an island base and the only area that's above water is in the town claim? Would that be basically unsiegeable in a siege situation?
Well, you can always build a land bridge from the nearest shore. It will take time, of course, but again, we keep in mind that for instant
User
battles,
joined
we
your
don't need
channel.
anything much of that. Well, we do need, but in that case, you still can build something during the raids. During GH, during Judgment Hour, and during raids, you can build some small artificial land to place the instant battles totems, and then you degrade their monument level to level 1. That means that they have no realm land, and that means that you can freely terraform everything around that castle. And you can create your own artificial island to place your siege totem and place siege engines.
And what about I know another thing that I've seen guilds do in the past, where they mine out literally the entire claim areas. Are you able to place this on a mined out tile, or is that
Well, as
currently
far as I remember, even instance battles, totem should act as a movable object. So in theory, you should be able to place it anywhere.
Okay.
But maybe it's worth checking.
There's also one where people won't build anything, but they'll place a blueprint for like a forge or something down, so you can't do anything with that tile. Are you able to destroy those blueprints?
Well, as far as I remember, it should already be fixed. So when during Judgment Hour, if something is not on a private claim, you should be able to destroy it. And speed of destruction depends on amount of resources that is put in the building. So if it's just a sign without anything built into it, it should be destroyable already. As far as I remember, if it's not implemented, well, we will implement it.
Okay. And then, as I know, just for clarification, it's a 3x3 kilometer area that would be copied from the guild under attack to the instance. How exactly is that going to be instance? Because is the, for example, I'll use my own server 37. Would 37 be copied over, and would it be closed, or would it still be open to people that aren't involved in the siege?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the thing is, there is such thing as replication. So we're going to have database that will be our main database will be replicated from other database. And once we need, we will just stop that application and start our own server. And it will not be exactly a 37 server. It will be like a new server that will have a siege totem and siege and monument as a central terrain. So, I mean, for instance, if you have your castle in an angle of 37 servers, somewhere up and right on the 37 servers, so you are not in the center of the node. When siege will be up, you will be in the center of the node, and we will take terrains that are right around your castle. And the thing why I was talking about replication is that means that absolutely everything that was done in the main world before the siege was active it will be in the siege. Just when the siege starts, we just stop that replication, and that instance server start living his own life. And while the main server will keep on living its own life, we'll just log claims on the main server, so no one will be able to do anything with the siege totem claim or with the city claim. Like even guild members or guild owners will not be able to take something from it or put something into it. It will be, like just locked areas. Everything will happen in an instance, but only those areas will be locked. That means that someone else who is digging his garden somewhere else on the server, he will keep on digging his garden and nothing will change for him. And yes, we'll have back synchronization. Buildings that will be destroyed in a siege, they will also be destroyed on the mainland, and they will be on the main server, and they will be destroyed according to normal rules. So, like, they will collapse. All movable objects on their inside those buildings will be destroyed, and some of stuff will be destroyed. Some of stuff will stay in ruins. And and just once one of the guild will win, they will have an exclusive 1 hour of exclusive rights on both of the claims. It's time when they should loot everything, prepare something for a counterattack, or just bring some of their friendly guild to put their own monuments on the place of destroyed one.
So theoretically, if there's an engagement that happens, Caesar happens, and afterwards, is the monument destroyed? The guild monument that was attacked is destroyed either way, or it's only destroyed in the event that the attackers win?
You're talking about siege totem, or
I'm talking about the guild monument.
Guild monument will be destroyed, of course, only if you lose a siege. If you won a siege, guild monument will be intact, of course.
And the siege monument would be destroyed, would disappear.
The siege monument will also not be destroyed, but it will disappear in 1 hour after the end of siege anyway.
User joined your channel.
Well, I'll try to explain it better. So, if attackers has won, guild monument will disappear. Siege monument will stay up. Attackers will have 1 hour of exclusive access to both of the claims. To the town claim and to the siege claim, and in 1 hour, siege claim will also disappear, and exclusive siege claim and siege totem will disappear, and guild claim will also disappear. So only things that will stay just buildings without any claims, and it will be a correct time for some guild that want to claim that land to place their own monument. That's that's when we're talking about attackers won. If defenders has won, it will be almost the same thing, but just guild monument will not disappear. Siege totem will not disappear. For 1 hour, defenders will have an exclusive access to both of the claims. Well, eventually mostly to the siege claim. And in 1 hour, siege claim and siege totem will disappear, leaving just empty, barren buildings. And of course, the guild monument and guild claim will stay intact because, siege have
User was moved to your channel.
So after, if you are defending your base and you lose, the attacker will have access for 1 hour. After that 1 hour, I assume anybody would have access because the guild monument will disappear as well.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
And that will be the right time to place a monument. And I mean, in theory, I can predict and I can expect that someone will try to put in ninja totems. So it will not be over for attackers. They will have to secure the perimeter and make sure that it's their friendly guild will place, their friendly order will place their monument to reclaim the area on all the buildings and all this stuff.
It sounds like a siege might be a 6 or 7 hour ordeal from start to finish. Traveling to location, attacking. I guess you know, don't you?
If many people will cry about it taking too long, we might take a look and review it, and we'll make the active phase of maybe 2 hours. Also. But I do agree with you. Siege should be a huge event that will take a lot of logistics, or a lot of preparation, a lot of patching and building and planning, and results of the siege will not be over yet until you place a monument that will recapture the town. If you are attacker and if you have one. If you are defender, it's a bit easier for you. You'll have 1 hour just to loot everything on a siege claim, and after it will disappear, and then it will be free for like whoever wants can take it, or maybe someone will just place a personal claim on top of it, and will and we'll be happy about it. Why not?
Many options.
Yeah, a lot. That's right.
So obviously you did say that if when the transfer takes place and the claim is copied to the 3x3 kilometer map, the rest of the server will be available. What about neighboring claims? They're not going to be transferred over. Is that correct?
What
so they won't be
claims?
involved. Like a neighboring claim. If there was another claim within the range of the 3x3
They
kilometers.
Everything will be transferred, but they will not do anything to attackers, to defenders, unless they have rights for access. I mean, as I've said, everything that will happen on the main server will be transferred on an instance server. And when the siege will enter the active stage, we will stop that synchronization, and instance server will keep on his own way, on his own siege way, and main server will go on his own way, and will just receive events of some buildings destroyed, or someone won, someone lose, and all that stuff. Maybe I don't know yet. Maybe we'll be able to make a backward synchronization of characters. So I mean, whatever you have looted on a siege should appear on your character when you will be back on the
main. So that brings up another question. A lot of people had, like, as far as setting up trebs or something. It sounds like they could set a treb up outside of the siege camp and still be able to use it during the siege. Would that be right? As long as you're in 3 kilometers?
Yes. You can build trebuchets anywhere and be prepared anyway. It's only the main thing you just have to be sure that it will not be destroyed on the mainland.
Yeah.
I mean, you must have some kind of protection for it.
Okay, right. Of course.
Yeah, if you can protect it for that 24 hours ahead of time, then go ahead. But, if it's not on the siege camp, everybody can attack it.
Yes, that's right. That's correct. Well, I do realize that in some cases, two neighboring guilds, it might be easier for them to wage a siege, because if let's say, one guild have a level 4 monument, tier 4 monument, and another guild got tier 1 monument, and that bigger guild got a realm claim too close, or maybe just right next to them, and in that case, it might have, or they may have more options to protect their stuff before the siege. So smaller guild will be in a bit of disadvantage. Well, life is feudal.
So you were saying that anything you destroy in the instance will also be destroyed in the real world, in the open world.
Yeah, but maybe only not like absolutely everything. Only those things that are on a siege claim or on a town claim. I mean, we are not going to let you destroy some third-party town, and they will just observing that their buildings are just disappearing for nothing. No.
Okay, it has to be part of one of the 2 claims. What does that affect as far as respawn? If you're in the instance and you come out of the instance, and your house and keep are now destroyed, where would you end up respawning?
Well, it's a common logic. If you don't have any other bind point, you will respawn on 25th Central City.
Okay. You go back to 25.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got a follow-up on that.
Yeah, go for it.
So if you're the attacker and you win, and you come out of the instance, you end up at your battle totem, right?
Yes.
But if you're the attacker and you lose, do you still end up at the battle totem and have to work your way back to your own base, or do you end up back at your own base?
You will end up naked and on your bind point. It will not be a siege totem.
Okay, you won't be at the siege totem. Okay.
And how are allies going to work? And you were bringing up vassals and alliances. How would that work? Would they have to sign up somehow to join the siege on the defender side or the attacker side, or?
Yeah. Well, the rest of the thing will be similar, like in instant battles. It's a totem. You can use it, or you can use a guild monument totem to enlist, and guild leader should accept your petition, accept that list. It will be the same way as instant battles. So there is nothing new here.
And how would that work as far as spawn points? Because I know that you said they have to have bind points for the instance fight, and you get a certain number on each side. Well, do they build tents, or do they have to have access to bind?
Okay. So that's a bit of separate question. So for enlisting, it will work the same way as instant battle. So if you enlisted on a totem on a guild monument, and guild leader or minor leader accepted your petition, you will be spawned. You will participate in a siege. You will be spawned in a siege instance. But if you die, a respawn will cost a ticket, and the amount of tickets depends on how well you are prepared. If you are an attacker, you should build a lot of tents in a claim on your siege totem claim, and each tent by default it gives 5 points or 5 bind points, but since we give a bonus for attackers, it will give it will give 20 bind points. So amount of total tickets that your side will have will depend on the amount of each tent. As about defender, as I said, it will depend on minimum amount of siege, minimum amount of rally points or bind points. So, for instance, if you got a large keep that can hold 120 rally points, but you have only, like, say, 2 houses that give you only 40 bind points, that will mean that in a siege you will have only 40 lives, only 40 respawn tickets. And the same working vice versa. So if you have a lot of houses that give you like 200 bind points, but you don't have a siege or anything, and you have 0 rally points, you will have 0 respawn tickets. So everyone from the defenders will be able to respawn only once. Or will not be able to respawn. They will die only once.
So you're basically making sure that every claim should have at least 1 keep and at least 1 house.
Well, that's right. Yeah. Well, unless you want to try your chances and just go in and don't have any respawn tickets. I mean, it still can be a viable option if it's 100 of you and you still have 100 lives. And you will not be able to respawn, but still attackers will have to kill you at least once. So it's not like you are completely impossible to defend.
So as a defender, you could just set up more tents for allies or friends. That wouldn't be an issue as far as the respawn points go, I'd assume.
Yeah, well, for friends, it's no matter what guild or what you are, you will respawn. During the siege, you will be an attacker, and it doesn't matter what guild you are from or where are you binded in the mainland or whatever. You will be an attacker and you will respawn a siege camp.
But using tents as a defender, tents are still rally points. So unless you have more houses, that wouldn't count because it's the lowest of the rally points, aka tents or keeps, and bind points, aka houses. So you can't just spam tents, can you? You also have to have houses.
As a defender, that's right. As a defender, you cannot spam it, but it might be a good option if, for instance, you got only houses, but you had no time to finish your keep. Maybe it will be a good idea to find some place for some siege tents for siege, and in that case, you will have like temporary rally points. Well, there will not be temporary, but still, it's a viable tactics, I think. So it's not. I don't see anything bad about it. So if you have a keep, but you have a lot of houses, you just place a lot of tents if you have place for them, and you should be fine.
But we can where the defenders are spawning. Are they respawning in the keep or in the houses?
They should respawn at the bind point if bind point is inside the siege area, inside the siege claim. inside the town claim, and if they do not have a bind point, the village should respawn near the monument. And if their bind point is destroyed during the siege, they also should respawn near the monument.
And attackers will respawn at the monument, at the siege totem?
No, yes, that's right. If they do not have a bind point on a siege totem exactly, so if they didn't claim to one of the siege tents, they will respawn on the siege totem.
Now, it sounds like when you were saying earlier that anything within the 3-kilometer area would be transferred to the map. You could set up siege tents outside the 12 radius siege totem.
It will not count. It will not count towards your respawn tickets. Of course, you can place a siege tent somewhere else. And if we're talking about the siege of 2 neighboring guilds, they can even respawn in their own castle. It's possible. It's a viable option. But in order to have enough respawn tickets, they should build tents in their siege camp.
Inside siege camp. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And you kind of answered the question about the amount of respawn tickets. And you answered the one about the claims. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the question you haven't answered yet. And you were saying that if, after some testing, if the 3 hours mark is too long of a siege, then it might be altered. Is that correct?
Well, everything that I'm saying might be altered. One of the reasons why I actually enjoy talking with you right now is that actually I want some kind of I don't know, it's discussion or maybe some kind of good questions that will put me into like thinking. I never thought about it. I just want to make my vision to be bulletproof. That everything that can happen is solved or taken into account. So that's one of the reasons. So if we will see that 3 hours is really too long and no one want or have time for that, maybe we can switch it on 2 hours. I don't see any problems with that. We will just see. We'll just
user disconnected from your channel.
I mean, in my opinion, I do remember sieges from Shadowbane, from Darkfall, and they were really long and tedious as hell. But in most of the cases, there were always some kind of action, different action. But well, we were way younger back then, and I'm not sure that everyone has such amount of time right now. But on the other hand, right now I believe that it will be quite hard for attackers to reach their goal. I mean, you must build a siege camp. You must fetch a lot of equipment because defenders will respawn inside their castle that is stocked with everything and equipment and ammo and resources and whatever. But attackers will have to fetch everything on trading cards to the siege totem and build some kind of storages, build some kind of containers and fill them with all the equipment. They will be in a disadvantage in many aspects. So and making smaller amount of time will also give them some disadvantage because after 3 hours of a siege, it will if there are no objectives is reached, that means that defenders have won automatically. So I believe making a shorter siege time will be disadvantage for attackers. But again, we'll see. If people will say that it's taking too long and nothing much happens and it's not fun, we'll make it slower and we'll just compensate it and give something to attackers in exchange.
Now, I know a lot of people had a lot of questions as far as the instancing goes because, we've been testing out the instance battles in general, and they're really quick. It's like 10, 15 minutes and usually someone that's won at that point. This, siege battle could go on for some period of time, could go on for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Will there be a way for people to join that? I mean, right now, obviously, if you come late, you're late, you don't get in. But it's so short, it's not a big deal. But in the siege, it'll be a very prolonged effort. Will people be able to switch in and out as time goes by, or are they just locked out or locked in?
Right now we are right now we're not building some system that will allow you to jump in and jump out easily, but we're working on a system that will allow you to reconnect if you get disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, in a battle it might not be an issue, but in siege, if you just crashed and being unable to come back will be really disappointing. We'll do some kind of mechanism that will invite it back to the siege. But we do not, like we plan, but we are not implementing anything that allow you like to be late for an hour and a half and still be able to join a battle even if you are not listed. Or join a siege if you are not listed. But again, sometime later we will probably implement it because I don't see anything against it. Unless the anti-zero rules will be until all the other rules will be met, like requirements.
Mm. And I know, like it says, it's you have a 24-hour period to prepare for the siege. Mm-hmm. Does that mean that I know in the past it was supposed to be a European prime time siege event? Does this mean now it's just 24 hours flat, or will it be?
It will be the same rules. No, it will be absolutely the same rules as an instant battle. I mean, the thing is, we want to make those systems to work as much as possible in the same way. Mm-hmm. The only difference will be the presence of buildings and siege weapons and rules of how to win or how to lose. But the rest of mechanism should be the same. Should be like working the same. The way how you enlist, the way how you join and reconnect and disconnect, the way how your statistics will be gathered, the way I don't know, the way of synchronization will work back and forth. So in many ways, it should be the same.
Okay, and then you were saying that you'll be able to do it within 60 squares. Is that correct? As far as placing the claim down.
You'll do in 60 tiles already.
60 tiles, sorry.
Yeah. And again, it can be tweaked. We'll see a lot of good arguments that it's too small area or too big area. Of course, we'll tweak it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people's concern is just if there's buildings or no land. But as you said, you could always build an island if you had to of dirt just to place it down.
Yeah. Well, everyone just should keep in mind that we are talking about siege when Defender's Monument is level 1, so it got no real land, it got no real effective protection of the land around the city. So it should be relatively easy for attackers to prepare terraform the land, prepare the landscape before placing a siege totem. And after placing siege totems, they have a protected piece of land and roughly 24 hours to build up a siege camp. When I say roughly, because we're going to have the same calculations for instant battles that we have a prime time, and
user disconnected from your channel.
You will be your battle or siege will start during the prime time, or it will be postponed to tomorrow if it's too close. Like if you placed your siege totem 5 hours before prime time, it will go up next day.
What about along that same lines for the instance battles, not the siege battles, but just the instance battles themselves? If you can't gain access to the realm claim because there's something built on it, whether it be walls or some other building or something like that, will you said it's a movable object, so can you like literally challenge somebody from on top of their walls if they build walls up to the edge of the claim?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe we will switch those rules on the same basis as guild totem, as a siege totem rules. The instance battle totems should be placed just in vicinity of other guild monument. So like not necessary on a realm claim.
Just nearby.
Yeah. Well, we'll take a look on it and we'll fix the rules. Okay. But I don't really like the idea of placing it on top of the wall. In that case you can make it inaccessible. I meant it's not like a totally movable object, but it's something that that terraforming of blocked cells should not affect. That's the idea.
Now, one thing I noticed is seems to be a massive discrepancy in the different instance battle maps. Like the actual map, you know, one might be across the river, another one might be right next to a forest, and the other one out in the
User
open.
joined your channel.
Are those the final locations that's where it's going to definitely be, or could there be some changes made to the different types of instance battle maps?
Of course, most probably we're going to have some kind of changes with the battle maps. Right now, we're looking forward for this weekend. We're going to release a patch tomorrow, or probably the day after tomorrow, with a lot of optimizations for battles. But the main problem we currently have is the forest. So there is a slight chance that we might have to remove heavily forested maps from a battle maps rotation. But aside from that, maps are actual terrains from MMO, and if someone thinks that it's not just or it's not correct or too unbalanced, so we can always review it and just make adjustments or just remove it from our rotation. So again, everything can be discussed. Just share your opinions and ideas, and we're always open to that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just go out on my own feelings about this, but I definitely like the diversity of the different maps. You know, I know you guys have struggled with and made some good improvements on the forest and how they work with instance battles, which has been nice. I mean, you can actually join and participate, even if it somewhat might be a little bit of a slideshow right now.
Well, it should not be a slideshow right now, and we're also going to increase the tick rate. That should also not like double amount of performance, but significantly boost the performance. We got some aces down our sleeves, so we just look forward to see what's going to happen on next battle instance test that hopefully should happen this weekend.
Yep, hopefully it does. I'm looking forward to it. So another question I've had a lot of people come up with, which is a little off the script, but will you be able to do any sort of JH traditionally, or is this now this siege instance battle taking the place of what people traditionally consider a siege in the YO, the JH?
So yeah, right now all the sieges should happen by instance sieges system. So there will be no other way to damage buildings inside the town claim other during the siege and inside the instance. So raiding Judgment Tower will not remove the protection of town claim. So you can, of course, always try to raid and kill people inside, but you will not be able to open loot or like do anything significant inside the town claim.
Okay, and then along the same lines of the, just to get your idea of how you want a war to progress. Let's say, for example, Guild A is attacking Guild B. They would start with a series of instance battles, and then eventually get to a siege instance.
That's right. You in order to start a siege, you need to degrade the Defender's Monument to level 1, and degrading it to level 1. First, it depends on what is current level of the monument, and secondly, how many battles you have won, and how often do you won, how many battles you were able to win.
So if you have two, okay.
Sorry, and it doesn't matter who exactly won those battles. It's actually what matters for you is that the guild lost their battles. I mean, it can be your allies who have won those battles, or some third party who is also bashing that guild. It doesn't matter to you. Everything will degrade their monument, and once that monument is level 1, that means it can be sieged, and you place a siege totem and go on.
So you could theoretically have 2 guilds attacking 1 guild, and they can put down multiple instance battles totems at the same time.
Yes, that's right. The only thing that we already have a limitation of how many monuments, how many instance battle challenges can be issued at the one day, and it depends on the level of a monument. So I don't remember exactly what are the numbers, but for instance, level 4 monument can have up to 4 battles in a day, and level 3 monument can have only 3 battles in a day. Something like that. I'm not completely sure about it, but something like that. So yes, if you are a big guild, you should be ready to retaliate up to 4 battles in a day from different sources or from one source. And if you will lose them, that will mean that it's 4 loses in a day. And that means that you can lose your level 4 monument rather fast. But again, the only thing when you can besiege is when you have a tier 1 monument.
Yeah, like you were saying that the only time where the buildings in the town claim is vulnerable is during an instant siege. Mm-hmm. What about any buildings you have in the realm claim, or buildings, walls, anything like that? Are they destroyable during peak hours, as we were talking about earlier? Where raiding is still a thing.
During Judgment Hour, yes, that's right. That's the point. That realm claim does not guarantee you safeness. So if you got some,
many players are confused. What exactly is MMO Judgment Hour? How often? How long?
Judgment Hour?
Yes.
Well, right now it's not enabled in MMO, but the plan is to make it enabled during the prime time hours, maybe for 1 or 2 hours.
Daily.
Daily. Maybe daily, maybe we'll see. Maybe it will be during weekends. I mean, as some of you should know, in your own just XML setting, it's just a schedule that you write down in MMO. It works the same way, so we are quite we can change it as much as we want. And the idea is to have Judgment Hour every day. Right now, it's idea every evening prime time hour.
So that Judgment Hour, it's still only between guilds at war, right? You can't just randomly attack people.
That's right. Of course, only guilds that are at war. That means that during Judgment Hour, both of those guilds can raid each other realm land and damage their damage anything that is on the realm land. And if there is something in a private claim that is on the realm land, they will have to cast a long, loud, and noisy revoking ritual. And if no one interrupted from it, that means they will remove a private claim for a day, and everything on the private claim will be vulnerable for raiding, for destruction, or for looting. And that's right, it's only worked for guilds that are officially in a state of war.
Do you expect to put a cap on the number of players in either instance battle or a siege instance battle?
Of course. That's what I'm saying. That's we're going to have a maximum amount of players that can join a siege or instant battle. And yes, that's why leaders actually have to choose who will go in a battle, because they must pick only the ones who will be more beneficial. They will provide the most impact during the siege. But I cannot promise any numbers, but we do hope that at least 200 or 300 players should be possible in an instance battle. As about a siege, hopefully it will be 200, but at first time I'm looking for 120, 150 people on one siege.
So, on each side, you mean?
Unfortunately not. Right now,
total.
Okay. Unfortunately, right now I'm talking about it. But again, we don't. I mean, siege will definitely be more impactful on a performance, but on the other side, we don't think it should be that much of an impact. But it's really hard to say anything until we have a first siege and first performance logs to know what are the bottlenecks and how we can solve it.
So it sounds like a siege event would probably take up the entire prime time, I would assume, for a day. The instance battles, obviously, you can do several instance battles or a couple instance battles in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Is it gonna be possible to overlap? Like, could you have 2 instance battles at the same hour?
Of course.
So you'd have to fight you as a defender might have to fight off two separate guilds attacking at the same time.
That's right.
Okay.
That's the idea. Yeah, and you will have to decide who will go on what the defense. I mean, like that unit will go to defend from that attacking guild, and that unit will go to defend from the second attacking guild. And you might never know which one of battles will actually cause a lot of attackers to come against you. So if you are being gangbanged from two sides, it's really bad for you because it will be really hard. But if you are really a large guild and you can build like 40, 50 people on both of battles, well, it might be a bad idea for attackers.
And do you, as far as all right, that's what it says.
Yeah, I had a follow up to that. Like, because the peak time is probably longer than any given instance battle, right? Because instance battles are normally, now they're 10 minutes, but I think the max cap is what, like an hour? And if the prime time is meant to be 3 hours, does that mean that every instance battle that is set for that day always start at the beginning? Or can you, as a defender, choose to start one at the beginning and one after an hour? Or
we're talking about sieges or instant battles?
Instance battles.
Instance battles, you can choose it by when you are placing a challenge.
But do they still only... Because you said it will be the next day's peak hours, right?
It's hard to explain an algorithm verbally so fast, but the idea is, so if you play, let's say that we got the prime time 6 p.m. up to 9 p.m. Yeah. So if I place instant battle challenge at 5 p.m. Monday, my instant battle will start at 6 p.m. on Tuesday. If I place instant battle challenge at 7 p.m. Monday, it will start at 7 p.m. Tuesday. If I place instance battle challenge at 11 p.m. Monday, it will start most probably at 9 p.m. Tuesday. And if you place it like at 5 a.m. Tuesday, it will start 6 p.m. Wednesday. So, we are trying to find the closest time during the prime time. That's why I'm saying it's approximately 24 hours, because in many cases it will be more or less. But if you want to have a battle to start at the given time in the prime time, you'll have to place an instant battle or challenge exactly at the same time day before.
Now, I know a lot of people have questions about the realm claim and the town claim. The town claim is only 28 radius right now. Do you feel that that's a good size for these siege instance events, or do you feel that's too small or too big?
It's a tough question. I mean, from perspective of economy and castle planning, castle building, so far I'm under impression that it's fine. In a siege event, well, I think it should be enough still, because you will have a 3 kilometer map, and you will also have possibilities for sorties, for skirmishing attacks, and you will have enough plenty terrain to flank the attackers, and I think it still should be quite enough. And well, we're talking about castles, not like huge towns or cities. So
do you think that people are gonna, because I, for my own guild, it's thinking about the realm claim and it disappearing, and all the buildings that you built, the houses and the shops being vulnerable on the realm claim. When you get to the point where you're being sieged, it almost feels, I think, to a lot of players, like it wouldn't be worth using. Do you feel that's the case, or do you feel that's a more isolated opinion?
I'm not completely sure. Are you talking about that some crafting devices will be outside of the city claim?
Yeah, like homes or work or shops, if they're outside they'll be outside the town claim or city claim, and they'll be in the realm claim area. So when you get into a siege event, they'll be pretty much destroyed.
Oh, well, I believe they will be pretty much destroyed before it, because as I mentioned, during judgment hours, attacking guild can raid them. And again, if we're talking about siege, that means that all those things will be outside of any claim. Technically, they will not be owned by your claim anymore, by your guild. So technically, it shouldn't bother what will happen, or it shouldn't bother you what will happen with them, because technically there will be no ones on buildings, because there will be no claim protecting them.
But do you think people will not, or decide never to build anything on the realm claim because they know there's a risk that could disappear?
No, that's actually a good idea. That's what I'm trying to push. That realm claim is not like 100% safe place for you. It's something like, in medieval times, you have a castle, you have houses, everything is packed and cramped, but only like really noble or rich persons can live inside the castle walls. And you got a lot of stores, you got a lot of farms and crops and trees in the castle vicinity. And when it goes up to siege or raiding, those farms and and villages will burn first, and all the residents will go inside the castle for a real protection, but they will lose their stuff. So it's probably the same story here. So only thing that will be 100% secured until the siege is everything that is inside your town real, inside your town claim. But everything on a realm claim can be potentially harmed during judgment hour raids. So you should think twice or thrice about putting something valuable on a realm claim. And if you put something valuable on a realm claim, make sure that you have protection during judgment hour or prime time events.
Well, Bobic, that's pretty much exactly the question, because as you explained the siege mechanic, if you want to really protect a town claim, you have to build lots of houses and keeps, right?
Inside the town.
Yes,
claim,
inside.
Yeah.
And that means it leaves you only pretty much not enough space for crafting. You need to build all the crafting outside. And as we know, that crafting, blacksmith shop, carpenter shop, stuff like that. If you risk that stuff to be lost, many guilds are planning to just make a, second claim nearby and use the town claim there for crafting.
Is that work?
Yes. Because it's only Templars to make another monument. So they're just cheap crafting town to, use the protection, not get raided during judgment hour.
Yeah.
Many guilds are actually thinking to do that. Is that work is intended in your vision?
Well, in my opinion, I don't see anything against it. I mean, some guilds will just decide to sacrifice a bit of respawn points for having everything the same in the same place without the headache of an alternate claim and giving alternate access rights and so on and so on. But some other guilds might decide to have two separate claims, but still both of those claims are not safe from being sieged. And well, if some guild agrees that their crafting town will be steamrolled, it's up to them. I mean, I don't realize that there are 20.
User joined your channel.
That's town claim is rather small, and you should actually decide what will be in that protected area and what not. I mean, in my opinion, you can always build a good combination of both buildings and crafting devices. Just have two separate claims that will have equal amount of bind slots and crafting devices. And in that case, both of them will be rather protected. I mean, we will see how it's going to work out. I don't think that anything in our game is really not worthy of defending. And even having a maximum amount of bind points and bind slot doesn't guarantee that it will save you from losing a siege. So far, I don't see any problem with that.
All right, and then we had a couple questions just talking about any plans right now, what your plans are in the future as far as handling lag with more and more players going in. Do you have any? I know you have a update you're hoping to roll out soon. Do you think that will solve many of the problems that people have with some lag inside the instance battles and also signing up for instance battles?
Well, signing up for instance battles should work fine right now as far as I know. And as about lack inside of instance battles, that's what we're working mostly for those 2 weeks. And as I said, I'm looking optimistically into the next battle, into the next battle test. After that, we will be able to project something. Right now, let's just see the result.
I know we had a problem last instance battle testing, the last stress test, where people saw, like, if you looked at the monument, you might see a certain set of number of players and player names, and if somebody else looked at it, it'd be different. And then there were some people that, for some reason, just couldn't sign up on either the monument or the siege or the instance battle totem towards the end of it.
Yeah, that issue
should be fixed. Okay, cool.
Well, it is fixed. It's not patched, but it's fixed.
Good. Well, that is. I know we have more questions people have asked. I know we have limited time, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. But I know there's a lot more questions people have about instance battles and siege battles and the game in general. So we'll have to do this again sometime.
Well, I don't mind to do it again. I'm ready for my.
You got more time?
One, two more questions, and then.
Okay, I don't have any. I don't know if Dragmore or Sharana picked up any. People have been asking in TeamSpeak or through PMs. I don't have any on hand right now.
Well, there is a question going around about how kingdoms and vassals will work, if vassals are safe until the kingdom claim is destroyed, or if you can go straight for the vassal and siege that down first.
Yes, of course, you can always siege vassals. I mean, once war is declared, all vassals should declare war back on an attacker, and that means that every vassal guild is in a state of war. That means it can be sieged if it's level 1 monument, or it can be challenged on the battle if it's level 2, 3, and 4 monument. So being in a kingdom does not automatically protect you from anything. It's only just give you a chance that other kingdom members will come on your defense, but it doesn't magically protect you from anything.
Bobic, about the response, is that ticket used automatically when someone dies?
Oh yeah, it should be. It should be used automatically.
So if some noob dies like 10 times in 10 minutes,
yes,
it's the team's problem.
It's a team problem. You should thank that noob and do not take him on the next siege.
Great, thanks, Bobic. Now I can't go to the sieges.
Well, sorry for that. Well, we can make a special exclusion in your case. Your respawn will not drain tickets.
You have to take me, Sharana. Sorry.
Okay, well, let's go. One more question and I'll be done.
Well, many are still keep asking about the realm claim. I don't know. With your vision, do you think players will actually bother making some, big cities like the capital, given the GH vulnerability? Or they will stick with the small compact designs, near the town claim?
Well, the main idea is that you should try to stick with a small, designs of castles, but it depends on your wealthy and state and your political state. So for if you are a huge kingdom that no one want to mess with, that means that no one will effectively raid you. And if someone will raid you, you will always have plenty of PvP hungry players to protect them from those raids. And in that case, you can actually build a larger city with walls that will take time to destroy. And that means the raiding should be well prepared in order to actually penetrate those walls and grab something from inside on the realm claim that is not protected right now. So in my opinion, bigger cities on the realm claims are still possible. There will not be just invulnerable as something on a town claim, and they will demand active protection. But if some guild is large enough and doesn't have so many wars and they have always active members to protect, I don't see any problems for them to grow a bigger city on the realm land, realm claim.
Yeah, I could definitely see people using the realm claim almost as overflow. Like once they get their town claim filled and they have more players and they know what to do with. I mean, I think if you put a player cap, that's going to make a maximum size that people are going to build their guilds up to, anyways.
Yeah. So we're not going. We don't want to max amount of players in the guild. So yes, for the reason that you mentioned. So we don't see any reason for that. And
I mean, like a cap on the siege, the instant siege.
Oh well, cap on the siege is mostly inevitable from a performance perspective. But still, again, there is no requirement to be in the guild or be in any state of the guild in order to be listed on a defender side or listed on an attacker side. And that works the same way in instant battles. Anyone can be listed and anyone can be accepted on the list. So mercenaries, friends, family friends, some guilds that are with war with you, but they hate that other guild more than you, and they will fight on your side. I mean, even that is possible, yeah. So it's only, and that's one of the reasons why we use instant sieges is actually because we can actually have a certain sides. Because in game, all those standings and guilds are not actually guarantee that someone from allied guild is actually friendly to you and cannot kill you. It doesn't guarantee. And someone from a guild you are in war with is not friendly to you. I mean, all those standings are formal in many aspects. And it's designed to be so. I mean, and you can be backstabbed by your guildmate or by someone from an allied guild, and you can always receive help from someone you are in fight with. But during instance battles and sieges, we're going to have a distinct teams that are actually attackers and defenders, and like some kind of backstabbing is still possible, but we have a decent teams and we can calculate statistics and we can calculate win or lose rules accordingly. For instance, like we know who exactly is a defender, and when he dies, we know whose respawn tickets we should reduce because it's defender who died, and it doesn't matter in what guild and what state of the guild and if he's guilded or not, and he's defender, and he was approved by defending guild principal.
I assume it'll have to be a guild leader like it is for instance battles that would approve people.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yes, that's what I was saying. It will be the same listing process as in instant battles.
Yeah.
The guild leader will approve who is allowed and who is not allowed to join their side.
Very good.
So, if there is a really small question, I can answer it. If not, I'll be.
Anybody have a small question for Bobic before I leave?
Yes.
NA servers when?
NA servers soon. I mean, like really soon.
Really soon? Okay. That's something to look forward to.
Yeah, we have hardware installed, we have a lot of software installed, and many configuration already. Just like small problems here and there, but they should be really soon. Well, of course, not this week, but next or the week after.
I see you're in the U.S. Putting down your punishment room to make sure the NA servers get put up.
Oh no!
No, the torture chamber.
That's a problem. That's one huge problem with NA servers that we cannot physically reach in NA hosts. Well, we cannot reach European hosts, but we had no problem with them so far. Much of the problem, but NA hosting partners. We don't know how exactly they will work out and what kind of hardware. Is there any hidden problems will be with hardware? So that's why we want to start NA servers as soon as possible, because if there are some problems with them, we will have more time to solve them. So.
I have one tiny question. Are you willing to give out any information of what part of the US the servers will be hosted in? I know that's a question that comes up quite a lot, and a lot of people are like trying to figure out if they'll have the optimal connection.
I believe it should be Dallas and San Francisco. I believe they are distributed a little bit, but they promise that they have the the biggest how it's called channels across the United States. They're right on magistral, how it's called, right on the main channel connection hubs. So ping should not be that much of an issue, no matter what cost you are. Let me try to find. Oh.
Yeah, while you're looking it up, Rick, I have a good idea of definitely having a discussion at some point about economy. I'm sure we have a lot of people in our group that would like to have that discussion as well.
Discussion about economy?
Yeah.
Oh, well, let's do it. I'm not afraid of such questions at all.
You have an economic background, right?
Yeah, that's right. PhD.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you one question, Bobic?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go ahead, Asmo.
Try to limit the players on the. I understand that to avoid lag, but what about Judgment Hour, where we can also siege the realm claim? You don't scared of lag when 500 people come to one claim to siege Judgment Hour?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. It's still possible. I mean, there is no way how we can or how we will and how we want to limit players in an open world. I mean, even aside from Judgment Hour, you can always gather 500 players and go to someone else's claim at 5 a.m. and just sit there and kill everyone on site. And there's no way how we can prevent it. You know, that's what I try to say, that and it cannot be prevented and in any game. I mentioned EVE Online when the players organized a Concord killing event in a GT one. Thousands of players and thousands of NPC ships were like fighting, you know, and we cannot prevent that. The thing is that we can do is to make the impact as small as possible, like not as small, like less impact of such blob events. So you can, yes, of course, you can raid during Judgment Hour with 500 players, but you still will not be able to damage a town claim. And most probably, who knows how much of damage can you inflict on a well-protected realm claim. And if it's not well protected, well, yeah, of course, effectively you can wipe some guild realm claim completely. But still, they will have their main town claim intact, and all their stuff that inside the town claim will also be protected, and you will not be able to do anything with it with your 500-man block.
Yeah.
So it's basically a good idea to have your allies close by to come help you rather than having them across the map.
It's always a good idea.
And that's actually my question, because I mean, it's sort of easy to make a ninja siege on the town claim, realm claim in Judgment Hour without the allies can come down within the first 30 minutes, maybe. And I just imagine that it will be much more of these kinds of instant sieges, battle sieges.
That's it. That's what I'm trying to say. It will not be a siege. You will not be able to achieve any of much significant results. You will not be able to destroy a town claim or get anything from town claim with those ninja actions.
No, but you will be able to destroy everything else, and that's in itself is an achievement.
Yeah, but it depends on what everything else will be on the realm claim. And it also depends of how well that guild will be prepared, because when you have a prime time window, it's not like a ninja. It's not like you came at 5 a.m. and destroyed everything. No, you will have to come at prime time, and they will also have a prime time on that token. But regional servers, and they should be able to react. And yes, during first half an hour, you might be able to cause some damage, but after that, who knows? So if you raid some guild with 20 members and you destroyed all their tiny shacks and realm claims with 500 players and they are not able to do anything, well, yeah, you are good, but you still will not be able to siege their town claim anyway.
Yeah.
So I mean, You can always gather a lot of Zerg for raiding realms, but I don't think it will move you far. They will, after a few of such raids, they will just pack everything in a town claim, and you will be able to do nothing. While they will be winning instant battles, and then will switch your claim, for instance.
Yeah.
And one last, hot question. Did you change your mind on the invincible private claims, outside of the guild ones?
Sorry, what invincible?
The personal
private
claims, right?
that are 100% protected.
Yes, we have a solution for that, a gameplay solution, but I don't know when exactly we'll be able to implement it. Most probably it will be right after enrollment. So the solution is to implement influence radius. That will be another radius around the monument. Only level 3, level 4 monuments will have a significant influence radius. And aside from, unlike the typical claims, influence radius can overlap with each other. That means that two neighboring guilds will have one personal claim in their influence radiuses. That means that personal claim can be contested by them. And we will implement a way how one guild can claim ownership over a private claim and decide its fate. So it's a counter against private claims that are in vicinity of your guild claim, or some legitimate private claims that are just near your guild claim. So you will be able to make some kind of contest, small-scale PvP for it, and that will result of it. That means that private claim will be addressed as a claim that is owned by your guild, not like owned by your guild, that your guild have rights on it. And that means that your guild leader will be able to remove that claim or collect taxes later, provide a taxation. So the idea is to have to make it possible for larger guilds to protect the vicinity of their guild clans from private claims with trebuchets or something like that, because they will be able to contest that private claim and remove it if they want, or tax it if it's some solo players that just want to live there. And
do you already have ideas how large is that area going to be?
It should be quite large. I mean, you will not be able to do anything except contesting private claims on the territory. I mean, it will be just an influence, like a range of influence. So maybe keep in mind like 1.5 times bigger than the largest realm claim, something like that. But again, it's still work in progress. It's game design work in progress also. But unfortunately, you should not expect it before the goal. But afterwards, we got such a solution. The idea is to promote small-scale PvP battles for such private claims, because in some crowded areas, there might be some guilds that are close nearby, and some private claims as they contest for. And one important thing that we will not require official war status between the guilds in order to be able to contest the private claims. I mean, if two guilds are neighboring but are not an official state of war, they still can fight for a private claim in order to have ownership over it, be able to remove it or tax.
Joined your channel.
Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Makes sense to me.
Okay, but again, it's in the future. Well, right now I just want to really thank all of you guys. I hope you understand our switch system and instant system better now, and it should solve a lot of questions to you, and it's way clearer now. And again, thank you all for coming, and thank you all for organizing that. Thank you for TeamSpec and organizing all that with you. well, I really like, I really appreciate how active you are, all people here as a community, and how much you help us with our development. Because honestly, without you guys, I don't know where we would be. I mean, like testing everything by ourselves with such a complex, a huge game, like no chance. I mean, in some other games, it's still possible to be covered with like I don't know 20 people of quality engineers, but in our game, it's simply.
Yeah, I've enjoyed breaking your game. I'm sure many other people have too.
Hello, Raymond. How are you doing, sir?
Okay. Yeah, Saxon asked for once. Okay, thank you again very much, guys. Bobic is out.
Thank you, Bobic. Thanks everyone for coming.
User disconnected.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
User
Saxon.
disconnected from your channel. User disconnected from your channel. User disconnected from your channel. User left your channel. User disconnected from your channel. User disconnected from your channel.